Let's take one more look at Diana so she can enjoy a much needed rest. Hey y'all, welcome back to Dots and Beyond. If you are new here, my name is Beth and this is Diana, my journal for the first half of 2021, and today we are going to bid adieu to her with a final flip through. Diana is an Archer and Olive Rose Gold journal, and I am now an Archer and Olive affiliate, so with the code DMB10, which is linked down below, you can get a 10% discount on any products from Archer and Olive. But now let's go ahead and take a peek in Diana. You can tell she's very well worn, she's very well loved. I'm not one who necessarily leans into the idea of journal covers because I like my journals to look like they have been lived in. And of course, Diana is named for Wonder Woman as she kicked off the beginning of my 2021 Fierce Fictional Female series. This graphic is the jumping off point for that series. I originally designed this to be a tattoo and it has not yet made it onto my body, but it definitely inspired my journal for the entire year. This series also inspired my word of the year, which is believe, and I define that as to have faith or confidence in the truth of me. As we are flipping through these initial pages, you will see some that are a little sparse or blank, and I do go over some of those in detail in my migration video, which I will link up in the cards for you above, as to which one of these spreads came with me into my new journal for the back half of 21 and those that stayed behind. Wonder Woman got the year kicked off with a bang, but then we switched gears from DC to Marvel, and I honored Okoye of Black Panther in my January setup. This is still probably my favorite of the series. Much of that is going to be sentimentality, as again, I was raised in Kenya through my childhood. This was a creative spread that I stuck with for a couple of months and then sort of abandoned. Here is my wellness spread, which keeps very much the same sort of setup from month to month with only a few deviations. I do like to keep my sleep tracker and my habit trackers in the same place. For several months I did try to keep a meal log. I've discovered that that's something that I'm definitely not very good at, but here it is playing out on the page. Another thing you'll see playing out on the page as we go through this 6 months is my internal conflict between just having a boxes for the days of the week and also having a rolling weekly. I began my bullet journal journey with journaling for work specifically, and I definitely have to have a rolling weekly in that setup. And I thought I needed it in my personal journal as well when I separated the two, and I really have figured out over the last 6 months that I don't have to have that. My personal scheduling is just not quite as rigid as I am when I am at work. And here is my playlist and review spread. This is combined in most of my Fierce Fictional setups, with the playlist on the left side and the review on the right. And then for February, we moved into the setup with Lorraine of Atomic Blonde. Again, I tried my hand at a creative / social media tracker spread, but again, found myself not using it. And I did change up my habit trackers just a little this month with the small mini calendars. At the beginning of the year, I was doing a monthly challenge. This one for February was an abs workout challenge. The one back in January was an apartment therapy one. And then here you see me again not using my meal log. And my February weeklies were set up much like January with a rolling task list, a space for each day, some artistic element, as well as a mini calendar. Quick reminder here that I do also draw inspiration from other sources for my artwork, and so my Pinterest boards are all linked in the description box below. And this is probably the most full monthly review that I did for this last 6-month period. In March, we moved on to Daenerys of Game of Thrones, and one of the reasons I did this is because I just really love a good dragon moment, and I really liked doing this dragon wing Dutch door. The monthly challenge for March was 31 days of mindfulness, and then I did change up my creativity tracker for this month. I created some round Kanban boards to track video creation, but ultimately I did move all of my creative tracking into Notion. I did love this mood tracker though. This is one of my favorites. I did begin to explore the idea of creating a dream journal, and so for March I did leave myself one space in this month to record dreams to see if I used it enough to warrant setting up a separate dream journal, and I decided that I did not. The other change that I made was to move my meal tracking onto the weeklies, and I still didn't use them. This is also the month that I really began to catch myself either using the rolling weekly entirely or not using the rolling weekly at all, like I did on this particular page where I switched everything on to the dailies. And of course, here is my playlist page and a completely neglected month in review. Maybe I'll come back and fill this in. When it came time to set up for April, I was feeling very stressed out. I had a very tough month at work, and so I switched to a printable sort of scrapbook style to recognize the Gilmore Girls, who were not even on my original list of fierce fictional females, but sometimes the world just takes you in a different direction. Because of the stress that I was under, I also changed up my mood trackers and switched to this much more detailed version of a mood tracker, which you can see I didn't finish at the end of the month, but I do have a video on different types of mood trackers that break down specific triggers, and I will link that in the cards above. Here is my go-to wellness tracker with the combination of sleep and habit trackers, and again, I didn't fill those out at the end of the month. And April was the last-ditch effort at a meal log, and I did abandon it for the subsequent months. With the scrapbook style, I did decide to not put in the rolling weekly for my weeklies this month, and this is where I finally began to start feeling comfortable in putting down my planning on just a day of the week box. And what I've realized is that somewhere in my mind and my personal planning, I felt like I didn't need to put down the day-to-day mundane things on my task list, and that's absolutely not how I need to be using my journal. So I do start getting them a little more filled in from here moving forward, unless we stumble across a week that completely coincides with a crazy work week where I'm barely at home. Another surprise entry into the journal was my setup for May, honoring Harley Quinn from DC Universe and Batman. Harley was such a surprise to me that she didn't even have her own Pinterest inspiration board, which most of my other fierce fictional females have had. I did have a lot of fun doing this setup and playing with the colors. I changed where my habit trackers go. I changed how I put my goals in. I changed my fitness tracker. So a lot of things were different, and I did experiment with some different ideas in May. And again, I kept my very detailed mood/trigger tracker for my mental health. May is also where I started keeping my migration spread in order to get ready for moving into a new journal at the end of June. I did set up rolling weeklies as well as daily boxes again for May, and this is where the struggle really began to play out, and you see where I'm using it or not using it. And then in May, I did hit 100 subscribers here on this channel. We are almost to 500, so thank you so much for supporting me and watching these videos. If you have not yet taken the time to subscribe, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. May is another one of the monthly reviews that I didn't quite get filled out all of the way, and I am actually changing that for July and not using the doodle format anymore. And then June was my Lara Croft setup. I did this with acrylographs from Archer and Olive. I loved this setup, but the one thing I completely forgot to do was come back and ever fill in this braid for my mood tracker. Once I migrated everything off of this month, I just never came back to this page to fill in that braid. And then I also did not use my brain dump after making an effort to leave a lot of space for me to write for that month. I did keep my standard wellness page with the sleep and habit trackers, and then moved into the weeklies, where again I continued to try to put in a rolling weekly. And on this week right here, I did make a note to myself that the rolling weekly was no longer conducive to my personal journal, and it's just taking up space and I'm not using it like I want to use it. And so I'm making an effort now in my July setup to not have that space. And as you can see there at the end of June, I did away with it as well. And then this is my playlist. I have partially filled in my review for June. And then as we flip this page, you'll be able to see this was literally the very last page in my journal. And of course, I have migrated into this new journal, which is also an Archer and Olive journal, and this is Buffy, named for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We're just going to take a quick peek in here at my two initial setups. Of course, here is my setup for Buffy, and then my July setup starts with Uhura of Star Trek. But with 2 journals and 12 months, that only leaves me room for 14 fierce fictional females. I have received requests to do a number of different characters, and there's just no way I'm going to be able to fit them all in, and that's why I now have a big announcement. I have this Pink Poppy journal from Maisie Lane Co. It is 192 pages, so it's a thick one. And with the free embossing option, I have put 2022 #fierce on the cover. But this journal is not going to be for me. My fierce fictional female journey is coming to an end with Diana and Buffy. This particular journal I am going to make for one of you. I feel like we need to get more characters into this series, and so what I need from you is suggestions down in the description box below of what characters you would like to see in this future giveaway journal. My goal is to have this designed and ready for a giveaway by mid-November, so make sure you do subscribe and hit that bell notification to be notified when that giveaway video goes live. Of course, you don't have to wait for me to do your favorite character or to win this journal later in the year. I would love to see any of your spreads with your favorite fierce fictional female characters for the rest of the year. Thank you so much for watching and supporting this very fun series. From whenever and wherever you're watching this, remember you too are fierce. Bye-bye. Here are a couple more videos I think you might enjoy.